All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Want to welcome everyone to today's session. And we'll be talking about um, the dashboarding. So we'll take a look at what's available within Stratum for dashboarding capabilities. Of course, that relates to different ways you can deliver data from Stratum, part of our flexible information delivery methodology. We'll take a look at what the Stratum dashboards have to offer. We'll go into the designer, take a look at how we would update, maintain, or create new dashboards. And then here's the demo. We'll take a look at some live examples of this. If you have any questions, just reserve them, and you can always email me as needed. But we're talking about dashboarding, which is part of our data going out of Stratum. And you'll notice that the dashboards are up here as part of our Stratum Analytics area. And yeah, so that's just yet another way to get data out of Stratum would be obviously using views from Viewer, the web-based interface, and then of course the dashboarding capabilities that are basically part of that interface. And we'll take a look at how we would access that and start building dashboards from the views that you have. In terms of version, you'll need for the dashboarding 7.1, which is actually kind of old now. And we introduced new Google charting as part of the 7.4. So we significantly updated the caliber of the charts that were available in that 7.4 version. So definitely, if you're not up to that, you would definitely, I would recommend getting upgraded to that version if you're looking into doing some of these things today. But yeah, I mean, you can leverage the views that you have within Stratum. These would basically serve up as the raw data that you would feed into these dashboards. Pretty easy to design with the drag and drop capabilities. We'll take a look at that. I'll show you how to build out some of this. You could link to other websites with some of the custom widgets that we provide. And yeah, get to the point where you can push out some professional looking dashboards to your users. Here's just a snapshot of what a dashboard could look like within Stratum. As you can see, you've got different types of chart options that are available. This just kind of scratches the surface. But this, would be based on one of the views you have within Stratum and, what it could look like using either bar, pie, or line charting, which is all available. Or in that vein, you can also do a combinational chart as well. And I'll show you some examples of that. The designer is accessed using the hamburger menu in the upper right-hand corner of the viewer interface, the web interface. So once you click on that and you go down to manage things, you'll see that within the sub menu, the dashboards option. So you just obviously navigate to that, click on it, and then the dashboard designer would then open up in a different tab within your browser. Once you do that, as you can see, you can go into an edit mode within the designer and create new dashboards or edit existing ones. And then you can also gain access to the viewer views with the edit toggle. And that will allow you to drag and drop over the views that you want to use for your dashboard. And so in this case, before you start building a dashboard, I guess it would be a good plan to have a plan, in terms of, what exactly would you want? How do you want this to look? What is the business purpose of the dashboard? Who is your audience? These are things that are good to have good answers to before you even start building out the dashboard. I would even recommend mocking up a dashboard, you can draw it, you can use PowerPoint, just try to have, a plan and try to have a plan in terms of what it would look like. What type of graphs are you looking to pursue that would convey the story you're looking to get across to your audience. So careful thought and planning is always the best practice. Um, and then also a nice feature here is the ability to jump to the view behind the dashboard. Um, because let's face it, the dashboard's really going to give the user a good indication of the business, but it's not going to give them all the answers. As they say, devil's in the details. So the ability to jump to the details from the dashboard widget is critical, and so that's available as well. So we'll take a look at how that's done. Um, Widget settings, you can go into your designer. Once you have some of the dashboard widgets out there within your dashboard that you're creating, you can get pretty detailed with all the different options that are available. So if you want to hide some things like the view name, the view filter, if you're using view images, the paging controls, all of that can be hidden to clean it up, right? If you want to clean it up, make it look a bit cleaner, these are things that you could hide. Up to you. I recommend you play around with it. Maybe the navigation panel is a good thing to leave out there in case you're putting like a data grid out there that you want them to drill in on. So that way they'll have a clue as to where they are within the drill downs. So these are classic things to think about when you're building up the dashboard. And then also you can link content URL to the dashboard as well. So if you want to link the user to another application or to other views for further detail or any other content that you deem necessary, you can do that through this concept as well. As I said, as part of the agenda, that we got new charting in as version 7.4. The new charts were added then, where we were able to even provide more powerful and more robust charting capabilities. Clearly, traditional styles like column, bar, pie, and line variations. You can do maps, you can do gauges, so you can get pretty sophisticated with it, or a data grid if you just want to show a table of data, or a drillable table of data. You can do both. So it's pretty customizable as it boils down, and pretty simple and quick. You're not gonna spend days and weeks doing building these. And yeah, basically lift your data and to more of a modern charting look and feel. So this is something that is available to everyone. There's no specific licensing that is associated to this, so feel free to have at it. Furthermore, customizing the chart again, just kind of going in further on some of the customizations, other than hiding and cleaning up some of the capabilities or options that are available there. You can also kind of change the chart on the fly. So if you don't like the chart that you initially selected, no worries. You can always change it on the fly. Another thing that's available is changing the chart data. So if you notice down on the bottom, there's going to be some menu options once you get into edit mode to change that chart type, and then also to maybe narrow down the data that you want to chart within that view. Maybe the view has other columns that you want to ignore. So you'll be able to do some of that within this particular menu. So here we can see as we get into that detail for editing the widget or the chart, here we can kind of see that indeed there were other measures in my series here that would need to be deselected to clean this up. So we want to ignore some of the other components within the view and just focus in on the primary components that you want included in that chart. Pretty simple. Um, if you want to build a specific view specifically for that chart, you could do that, of course, and just include the columns that you want to chart, certainly. Um, but this is nice because in case you want to use a view out there that you already have, that already has some of the stuff there for you, you know, we'd give you a bit of a jump start, perhaps. But just know this: that any changes you make to that view could impact the dashboard. So as part of the best practices, I kind of do recommend that you maybe have a separate view group for your dashboard views and keep those separate really from the user community. Um, Again, available to drill to, of course, but that's really the single version of the truth behind the dashboards, if you will. So it would just make sense to me, if I were managing this, that I would have a certain set of views that would be strictly for the dashboard components. And there's a reason why. The views have to look a certain way. There's best practices behind how to construct the view too, as well, and we'll get into that in a second. So again, customizing the chart, changing the chart on the fly. Here's where we can see that if I don't want to have the bar chart that I selected initially, then I can change that to the column chart or the row chart, bar chart, the combinational, the area chart, or I can completely select a different chart altogether if I go into the chart tab. So the legend can be, of course, moved, customized so that it shows better. Perhaps maybe my legend might serve itself better on the top as opposed to the side here. So these are the things that are available, right? So to move things around to make it look better, uh, those concepts are there and are available as well. The custom widget is out there for you if you want to link to other content, to other websites, to other applications you might be running on the cloud. Just view this as a link to other things. So a logo, um, maybe if you want to throw in your logo, you can link this to an icon that would be available, stuff like that. That's my email and my phone number. So feel free to contact me if you have any questions, if you want to follow up, have a conversation, about some of this or anything regarding Stratum. Feel free to look me up and give me a shout. So let's take a look at some of this in action. If we were to take a look at some of these things here, we can see that I've got some of the dashboards that we've created for some of our um, packaged applications. We can see here customer sales analysis. So here we've got a dashboard that has a map on it. So this kind of gives you an idea of your sales throughout the country. We can see that the red states are the lower of the volumes. The green states are much bit larger. So I could see where's that? Ohio, Illinois, Colorado, some of my larger states in terms of sales amount and sales units. So Texas, some of the yellow states in the middle, etc. New York is pretty, one of the top states as well. So right away, it tells me a story. I always right away already know where the sales are popping, where they're not, where we need to concentrate more on some of the red areas. And as you can see, as you hover over them, and you'll get some more data points there as well. Below is more stories about some of the top accounts. These are my top 10 customers year to date for this year. And as you can see, I can see last year's sales as well. 2 years ago, there's no data. So that probably needs to be addressed. That could be better. Here we can see 10 customers with the greatest decrease year to date in year to date sales and the greatest sales increase. Yeah, different list of customers, right? So good to know, good to have. These decreases, maybe I want to see what products they're decreasing for, etc. So I can jump to the view in a new view in a new tab and do my analysis. So again, here's my filter giving me the bottom count on that variance percent this year and last year's sales. And I don't happen to have product up here in the mix, although I can see where this is happening. If I drill this to my Wilder Foods, for instance, I can see that really the big change here is happening in the States versus Canada. Here I'm going to add in product family, and see what products are associated to this for the states. And now I can drill right to the product family and see which product families it is. And as you can see here, it's some of the bigger ones here coming in at 35%. Yeah, we've got some big variances. One in particular has a large chunk of volume to that. Um, Descriptions don't look great there. Let's put that in our product level. See, break down to the product level and see what's going on. And I'll just drag and drop product over here. We can see that it's the strawberries leading the way there, but the biggest variance with all the that peach 6-ounce lunch pack is really driving some of the decrease there with a big chunk of money behind it. So, and then you can close that out and you're back to your dashboard, and you can dive into other things as it stays open. So yeah, I mean, those are so we have different links. So we're linking the user to the dashboard using user links. If we were to take a look at how we did that, we can see that our user links are right here. And I'll just go into that. Here we can see how those are set up. So for my customer sales analysis link, there we just clicked on. We can go inside of that. We can see the title, the description. It's global. There's the URL to the dashboard. It just serves up as just links the user right to the dashboard. Do we want it to open up in a new window, or just open it up here within Stratum? Suppose we could turn that off, see how that would work, and then we'll save that. But as you can see, it's saved. That link lives in its own view group. How clean that is. It's nice and clean, separate from the views. I kind of like this approach. So now, I made that little change so it will run in the main frame. And yeah, it looks so there, you might like that better. Um, it's almost as if the user doesn't have to, leave this particular tab to get to that dashboard. So you have that option. It's up to you. As we take a look at some of the other dashboard links, we can see that these different dashboards have good names to them. They kind of define what's inside of them, and you can even segment these further. We've done that. As you can see, we've got inventory dashboards separated from our sales dashboards. So, just to give you an idea what some of these look like, some of these are using line charts so that we can get a trend of the data over time. Here we can, what do we glean from this? Well, we can see that our grocery and versus our food division here. And grocery, obviously is a bigger part of our business, retail, food. As we scroll down, our top 10 products for the current month versus our top 10 customers. So we have a clue as to which customers are trending upward. Top 10 selling products, top 10 customers for year to date. Again, this kind of gives us an idea of some of the winners. And we can, again, hover over these and get some more details behind what these numbers indicate this year versus last. Gross margin, this one's more focused on profitability. We can see how we've portrayed that to look at division gross margin, both margin percent and amounts. Here's a good example of a combinational chart that we're using here. And we're showing that within the lines, the sales margin percents for this year versus last. And then this year and last year's margins are amounts are shown as the bar. If we were to take a look at the view behind that, it's nothing spectacular. It's just, at the end of the day, it's just a pretty normal looking view. So, you can build that graphic off of that particular view. Um, And then down here on the bottom are the top customers and products for sales margins. So the concept here is I see a common theme. I see how it's organized. I see how these are named. I see what kind of data is. I'm not looking at something that's disparate or not related. And so this gives me a great organization. I feel like there's some continuity here, and that's the feeling you want to convey to your users. You want to be able to keep things organized. You want a common theme for these dashboards, and you want to make sure that you tell enough of a story that they can kind of see areas that they want to jump into and grab more data to it and answer some of the questions that they have about the data. So here we can see some of the inventory dashboards, and some of this data may not be the greatest in the world. So yeah, but different, obviously a different, completely looking different dashboard. These guys are more supply chain oriented, so they're going to want to see forecast data, on hand units, etc. These are some of the stuff still work in progress, but this does give you an idea, of how to use these combinational charts. Obviously, how to have a plan, a good plan in place, and how to build this out, right? If we were to look at just building one out from scratch here, I can show you. Here's the hamburger menu. If we were to go into manage things, here we can see the dashboard option available. So we go into that, and that takes me to my designer. And here's all the dashboards I've got built out. If I highlight a dashboard here, say for instance, marketing analysis, I can go in, I can see the different dashboards that are available that are built out as part of this particular dashboard. If I go into an edit mode here, it then opens up this menu on the right-hand side and gives me access to the views that are available within Stratum. And here's how I can add another dashboard or another graphic, I should say, to this particular dashboard. And, I can edit the existing dashboards. Maybe I want to change, go in and edit this particular graph. As I stated before, you can change the data, or you can change the chart type on the fly. So maybe I want this to be, a bar chart instead of a column chart. Furthermore, I can, as I said before, you can select a completely different chart if you wanted to. Here, I can make it stacked or just regular. If we were doing some sort of comparison, I can customize it further by giving it a title. I can, as I said, move the legend. Maybe I want it on the top. As you can see, it does the adjustment for you, so you can see how it looks on the fly. Font customization, axes titles. It's pretty deep, in terms of what you can do and how you can customize the chart itself. So definitely, I encourage you to go in here and kind of play around with it and see what you can create. Have a test area maybe where you can just kind of test out a few dashboards and keep those private. Don't push those out until you're ready to have a plan and have ducks in a row that are necessary to push out something meaningful to your users. But yeah, I mean, I could just do this on the fly, and yeah, it's up to you in terms of how you want this to look and feel. So, and then creating a new one, if I wanted to create like a test dashboard, you can always do that yourself. You'll get this quick tip about how to create some of these things. But at the end of the day, it opens up, your views that are available. If I want to just do a quick column chart on comparative sales, I can just drag and drop that widget over. As you can see, I've got some work to do. It's graphing everything within my view. So I'm going to go in and go into the data here, and I'm going to tell it that I just wanted to do it for this year and last year sales columns. So I'm just going to get rid of some of these other measures that I want to ignore. And we'll just do the, and again, you don't have to have a view that's so cluttered. You might have something that's already pre-built for you. But here I'm just using this year and last year's sales. I'm just deselecting everything else. And as you can see, it cleans it up right away. So that would be, my first widget. Maybe I'll have that stretch that across. I can refresh that, have that there. Down below, I could do maybe a pie chart. I can also do a data grid. Maybe I want to show the data as well. So I could put that down here on the bottom. So I'll just drag and drop that over and, have the data grid available too. So now I'm building out more of a, wide dashboard where the users can kind of scroll through and see, what the graph and the data looks like as well. This particular view here, again, I can clean some of this up. I don't want to show some of the stuff, or drill down. If I drill down, I don't seem to have the navigational pane available. So if I want to maybe clean some of that up, go into my settings and show some of that stuff, like the navigational pane, and I can save that. And so now I know where I'm at, what levels are available for me to drill to. So that's part of the dashboard as well. So yeah, I mean, these are some of the different things that you can do. As you can see, I've just built this from scratch. Didn't take me long to kind of get something fairly decent out there, halfway meaningful. So really, if you throw a lot of effort at this, you can do a lot of really cool things, which is why I wanted to show you some of these other more advanced looking, color coordinated, well thought out, dashboards that look really good. You can do the same thing. Yeah, you have the same capabilities, just waiting for you to use.